And the LA Rams. So I gave you 4. So I gave you an extra one.
Now, let's move on from Tank Dell. There's 2 more receivers that I want to touch on. My homeboy and I, we're from Jacksonville, Florida. Duval, 904. I'm not a Jags fan, but I do root for Jacksonville. I'm a Steelers fan, but there's 2 Jacksonville wide receivers that I want to touch on from the city. Xavier Hutchinson and Pop Demario Douglas out of Liberty. How do you feel about those guys? What are your evaluations on them, and where do you see those guys getting drafted or falling in the draft?
I'll start with Douglas because Hutchinson's a bit of a better player. I like the way Douglas has plays with speed. I think that his ability to stretch the field is magnificent. I do wonder because the quarterback play this year was a little so I wonder if he has more to show that he didn't show on tape than that he showed this year. I know with last year with Malik Willis, he looked really, really good. This year he looked good, but it was like, is it a product of the quarterback or did he just not have enough more in the tank? So I need to see a little more of him. I currently have a 6th-round grade on him. Xavier Hutchinson, I have a 2nd-round grade on. My guy Dalen, who's a scout at the department, loves Xavier Hutchinson. He wants us to give him a round 1 grade so bad, but I can't do it. I really want to give him a 3rd, so we just settled on a 2nd. But I think Xavier Hutchinson is a very, very, very good prospect. You know, Big 12 receivers outside of CeeDee Lamb, who I'm so thankful to have in Dallas. That dude's a stud. Really don't succeed traditionally at the next level, but I think Xavier Hutchinson is going to be that next one. You're talking about a guy who's a true 6'3", 210, really, really, really good route runner. I won't say great, but a really, really good route runner. Really strong catcher of the football, especially high pointing it at the catch point. It's a 50-50 ball with Xavier Hutchinson is more 60-40. You feel me? His ability to also get some yak after the catch is also pretty good. I like his play style. He plays with this tenacity, this edge to him. He's always, cheering on his guys. He seems like a really good teammate. Really, really helpful guy. I've heard good things about him being really helpful in the locker room. And obviously the play speaks for itself. To produce at Iowa State, nobody's checking for Iowa State as far as quarterback talent. So the ability to produce year after year after year there is obviously impressive. And I truly think that he's a guy who could have a Michael Gallup type of career. You could ask him to be your number 2 or number 3, and he could be really, really good, and that's all he has to be. If you need more of him as a wide receiver 2, I think he can give that to you because I think he does have the athleticism. I think he does have, that above the rim ability to really catch over defenders, to really, sky for passes, catch goal line fades, all the whole 9 yards, and can run the whole route tree as well. Like I said, he's a very, very good route runner. So I really like Xavier Hutchinson a lot. Like I said, we have a 2nd-round grade on him at the department, and I think that he would really, really do some good for some teams that are looking for an X that can really, really, hold down that middle of the field for him. So
when I was watching Xavier Hutchinson, I was really excited, but at the same time, I got really frustrated because it's like, bro, you're good, but you can be even better, man. It's like it was a couple of contested catches that he wasn't able to come down with. I'm like, bro, you could have had that, man. It's like he's like a great blend of Christian Watson and George Pickens. The dude
that's spicy.
The dude's really athletic after the catch. But at times he has the aggressiveness that George Pickens has. Now, when it comes to Pop is kind of like in that Tank Dell category, undersized, but in the right system, he can thrive. He's a pretty decent route runner. He's not, the kind of technician that Tank Dell is, but I do think in the right situation, there's a report coming out that Bill Belichick loved him coming out of the Shrine Bowl or the East-West Shrine Bowl.
He did have a good Shrine Bowl. Yeah, he did have a good Shrine Bowl.
Yeah, he was just really impressive. He had a pretty good combine. He ran a pretty good 40. I'm a pretty big fan of Pop. Me and my homeboy were arguing back and forth who was better, Tank Dell or Pop, and I was telling him, listen, fam, like Tank Dell, the route running technician that Tank Dell is, Pop, he has some ways to go in that regard, but I do think Pop going to a system like the 49ers, because one thing that I think is really underrated about Pop is how good he is after the catch. And although he's listed, I think he's only like 175 pounds, like he's kind of built. He's a stocky 175, similar to like Josh Downs. Like they're smaller, and people think, oh, they're under 200, they're small. Like you can look at guys in person and they're like, they may be under 200, but they're kind of built. And I look at Pop, I look at Tank Dell. I think their success is more going to depend on where they land, especially Pop. You look at the fact that he does have some things that he has to improve on, but I do think that when it comes to some of the more underrated receivers in the draft, I definitely will have Pop in that conversation. But Xavier Hutchinson, he's the reason why I haven't released my top 10 wide receiver rankings yet, because I really don't know where the hell to put him at, because I watch him and I watch some games. I'm like, bro, like this dude is the best receiver in the draft. The potential, the upside is all there. And then I watch some games. I'm like, dang, bro, it's like you can be so much better with that size and athleticism that you have. So I really don't know where to put Xavier Hutchinson at. And then you alluded to earlier how Big 12 wide receivers aren't really all that great translating to the league. And we remember a lot of them. Denzel Mims, don't know where the hell he's at. Tyquan Thornton, like a lot of these guys come from Baylor. And it's another one too. I really can't, I can't, his name slipped my brain.
What school did he go to?
I can't even remember the school, man. It's been a couple of big name Big 12 receivers that come out over the last couple of years. I can't even remember the draft class. But why do you think Big 12 wide receivers struggle making the transition to the league? And what does Xavier Hutchinson need to do to end up becoming a successful one?
I think Xavier Hutchinson needs to keep his work ethic. The way he goes about his business. He had a great Senior Bowl. He really attacked cornerbacks like Tyreek Stevenson, made them really have to challenge him physically. He made them feel him physically. He made them feel him physically, and have to deal with that. And he imposed his will on them. Also, too, I think he does need to clean up, some of the focus drops. But I think all these guys, have, some focus drop issues that they can clean up, or little nitpicks like, running off routes, stuff like that they can improve on. But for Hutchinson specifically, I think if he can clean up, the drops, and if he can really work on, his spatial awareness. There's some times where he caught the ball and he didn't get a foot in bounds. If he can work on that, I think he'll be just fine. But as far as the Big 12 receivers go, look, man, I think the Big 12 receivers don't work out because the Big 12 corners are ass. You know what I'm saying? Like the Big 12 corners, they're terrible. So when you get to cook terrible corners all week, all year, for how many years you stay there, and then go to NFL, and you got to face dudes from the ACC, dudes from the SEC, dudes from Pac-12 that strap up and really know how to defend, and they're not going for those weak routes you're running. It's a problem. The only one in my young scouting career that's transitioned well from the Big 12 was CeeDee Lamb, and CeeDee Lamb was just built for it. He just chose Oklahoma. Feel me? He was always a good route runner, always knew how to use his leverage, always knew how to catch in traffic and all the things that you look for in a modern wide receiver. Stretch the field, get yards after the catch. Yards after the catch is what made him the prospect that he was. When you average 20 yards a catch, you do it for a reason. You feel me? So, but yeah, that's what it is. The Big 12, man. The corners they're terrible. They have everybody looking like they're world beaters when they're not. And then Quentin Johnson averaged 19 yards a catch, but in the film session I just did for the channel, I literally pointed out to where this man literally went against a freshman, DJ Turner from Michigan, and got his ass strapped. Like the route was terrible. The release was mid. The route was mid. and then didn't even got to the point where he couldn't even fight for the ball because Turner was so much in his hip pocket. And this was in a national semifinal game. You feel me? Like, it's crazy. It's crazy how much these Big 12 receivers and these, unfortunately, to the fact these Big 12 quickly get the coast. But as soon as they play someone outside the Big 12, it's a completely different story.